Mr. Carter, what's going on, sir?
Hey, Dr.
Yeah.
Cook, I'm pretty good, man. If I was any better, I would try.
Why haven't we had a podcast in like 4 weeks? You too busy for the people. Is that what it is?
Life. No, I think it was you, my brother. I think you
I
and the
have
wifey
been doing a
were
little bit of traveling.
in
That is true.
Sedona,
That is true.
Arizona. How was Sedona, by the way? How was that?
Scottsdale, and it was actually our first time, her first time, and my first time going to Arizona. But we had a good time, man. We relaxed, recharged, did some spa treatments, and I
Yeah,
played a little bit of golf, and we did some, or she did some Pilates. So anyway, it was good. It was good.
good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we always need a chance to break away and be able to rest, rewind, recharge. So that's kind of what our topic is about today is trying to figure out a way to deal with all the negativity that's
Man,
going on in the world
it's a lot of negativity out here in this world.
and
That's
how it
that's
can just
tough.
really get you depressed and get you down. So anyway, hey, just shout out to everyone out there in social media world. We haven't been there in a while, so love for you guys to chime in and say what's up to the Carter brothers. We are here in the building after a 3 week break.
Hiatus.
Hiatus, yes, sir. But
Yeah.
we're back. We're back in live and in color. So Cheryl and I were talking about all the negativity. Obviously there's a recent mass shooting that happened just a few days ago. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, we had Kevin Samuels who passed away, unplanned, untimely death. So much going on when you look on social media of different news. There's always news of negative things happening, and it just almost seems like at times that all you ever hear is negativity. It just seems like that just is the majority of the talk, the discussions, the news, the dialogue, and it can become extremely depressing at times. What do you think, Sterling?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's you wonder how all this negativity affects people,
Hmm.
and I don't know if we're aware and if we think about it, but all this negativity that we receive every single day coming in, after some time is going to affect you in a negative way. We have to figure out how we can balance that out so that we know that there's negativity in the world, but we also have to focus on the positivity of the world. um, it's funny. I'm big on watching the news. I'm big on
Same
CNN.
here. Same
um,
here.
but my wife won't watch it. She's like, I don't want to hear about all the negative stuff that's happening in the world all the time because it just drains you. So,
It
because
does.
yeah,
So, what
yeah,
do you think? What do you think it is that those happening with the negativity?
and I know we're gonna go through it, but I think it's negativity sells.
Yeah.
If something is happening to somebody and that's negative, it's sensationalized.
Okay.
No one wants to hear about how great you are, or that you're doing fine and you haven't had any issues. That's boring. People want to hear about if there's a plane crash,
That's right.
or if someone is stuck on the top of a mountain or something like that. They don't want to hear that you climbed to the top of the mountain. They want to hear that you almost fell off of it. It's crazy. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it's definitely, I don't know if it's the psyche that causes us to pay more attention to the negative stuff. But one of the things that when we were doing our research, it was talking about clickbaits, and clickbaits are those short titles that media uses to try to get people just to click on the news. And what they found is that a large percentage of clickbaits are negative because that's what draws people in. So
Yes.
it's just, I don't know, innately it's in us just to go for the negative.
All right. So let's jump in, Sterling. What do we have our topics here?
Yeah. So why negative rules the news? See, you jumped on that. So I guess now we're going to talk about why. And we talked about that already a little bit, right, Steven? It sells.
Yeah, I think I read a comment or a little saying that says, "If it bleeds, they'll read," or if it's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. But definitely, I think there's some statistic that says that 89% of all news is negative. And that's a crazy statistic when you think about it.
It really is. And we said this earlier, but a much better reaction from the fact that something awful has happened. So
Yeah,
the news knows what sells, and if they know that people get more of they get more of a reaction from negative, then that's what they're going to focus on.
exactly. Yeah, and there's also the amount of emotion, or the type of emotional reaction is so much stronger and deeper from negativity than it is from positivity, and it lasts longer than it does from a positive standpoint. Something happens positive, you're like, oh, that was great, and then a couple minutes later, you're on to the next thing. Whereas negativity tends to prolong longer in your brain, so it definitely, from a news sales standpoint, that's what they want.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. They were saying a staggering 87% of the news in regards to COVID is negative, right?
Yeah,
And it's when you think about all of the successes that we've had, in regards to this pandemic and beating it. We were able to come up with a vaccination relatively quickly, create a booster. We were able to really curtail the pandemic with that and social distancing and mask wear and all that kind of good stuff. We're actually in a pretty good place right now,
mhm,
but no one really wants to talk about that because they want the media wants you to continue watching, and we're almost in this stuck space of just negativity and fear, and so it's time for us to get back to the real world.
it is. So really, I think what we wanted to focus on is just, one, we wanted to make sure we establish why news is so negative, and it's not your imagination. A lot of people are like, the news is always so and it's almost like sometimes you think that it's just, maybe it's because that's the time frame that you're watching, or maybe that's just what we're going through. And there's, everyone kind of says that there's so much that's going on in the world right now. But if all they're reporting on is the negativity constantly just to get the news ratings, are we really in a worse position now in 2022 than we were in 2012, or 2002? Or is it really just the sensationalism of news and the media and all of that? I mean, and right, we talked about kind of the political aspect. There's this everyone is talking about fake media, fake media, fake media now, and I think it's convenient, obviously, from a political standpoint. But the reality is that fake media has been a scenario for us for a long time. Not that it's necessarily that the media is fake, but that it's biased and it's one-sided and leans towards negativity. So I think that's the thing that we need to really be aware of.
Agreed. So now we get to go into what do we do in order to fix this crazy situation, and we definitely want to make sure we get some comments here, some feedback.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do in order to combat all the negativity in the world? And we've got at least one comment here. Our dear cousin Cortez Carter, Captain Carter, is in the building, and he said, take it easy on the plane crash because as we know, or at least as Stephen and I know, Cortez is a pilot, and so is his wife, and they fly quite often. So we don't want to no ill will. We don't want to put any negativity out there in regards to plane crashes. But yeah.
Absolutely.
And let's see, we also have one more comment here. What's going on? Ashley, cousin, is in the building.
So Bash.
Yeah. Negative news is growing in numbers and it makes the media money. So they are going to push it to the limits. It is up to us to stop watching the negative. Facts.
That made me it made me think, Sterling, about how and this is kind of going in a different direction, but kind of related. The rise of gangster rap, the rise of there used to be, and Sterling and I are kind of gonna date ourselves right now, but when we were coming
No,
up,
don't put me in that category. You're gonna date yourself, not
when we were
not
coming
date
up,
myself.
yeah, when we were coming up, there was a sense of positivity and empowerment in hip hop.
Right.
And I remember going through the phase of everyone. There was like Public Enemy and KRS One, and so there was so much that was about empowering the community and the positive things, and enforcing family oriented values and things of that nature. And then all of a sudden, we saw this trend towards gangster rap, and there's all these kind of like conspiracy theories about what's going on and what happened. Da, 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 da. But the reality is that no matter how it started, the reality is that people pay to listen to gangster rap, and it is a more negative form of rap, and it could be disparaging to women, and it could be. And I'm a huge hip hop fan, so I'm not saying I don't listen to it, but for whatever reason, the more negative, you know, gangster whatever version of that sells more than the positive. You think, you know, Jay-Z and some of these other people talk about how they want to rap like Common, but that doesn't
It doesn't
sell.
sell records.
It doesn't sell records. So
You know,
there's some
same.
reality to that in all aspects of our lives.
That's real. I mean, you are spot on with that. I mean, the negativity sells across the board, and and like you said, sometimes it's not political. Sometimes it's just the fact that that's what people are buying, so they're going to keep selling, keep pushing what everyone's buying. So,
That's it. That's it.
all right, so we're going to go into, I guess, what do you do in order to combat it? So, pretty obvious, right? Control your intake. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like I'm still. You and I are the same in terms of I used to be very, very much addicted to news, radio, politics, things of that nature. But I've become more like Crystal from the standpoint that I just can't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
When I come home, instead of immediately turning on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, whatever, I would rather flip it on to one of my movie channels and just dumb out a little bit, try not to work at home, try to sit down and watch something that is, less, even some stupid, reality TV, different shows, just something dumb that
Killing
takes
your
my
brain
mind
cells,
off
man.
of
It's
that.
killing your brain cells. You need
I don't know.
to
I don't know.
stimulate.
No. I gotta just take a break.
Yeah.
Take a
No, that
break
makes
from the
sense.
world and
That
everything
makes
going on.
sense. Okay, here. Search out positive news networks. So this is a good one, Stephen. So since you're all on the positivity kick, what positive news networks out there that you actually try to combat? Is there ones that are more positive than others? Any that you would recommend to our viewers and listeners?
Well, a big thing that I'm into now, Cyril, is that, and I've been listening to this pretty religiously. This is just on my drive home. iHeartRadio has a number. If you download the app, you can go in and listen to a number of different podcasts and things of that nature. And they have Motiversity. Motiversity is a podcast with just a host of different motivational speeches from anyone that you think of, from just any motivational speech you can think of, and they just go through and it just circles through different positive 3-minute clips of different speeches. And so I listen to that a whole lot instead of listening to the radio or the news like I used to. So that's a big one for me. What about you?
I don't know if there's any positive news networks out there. Motivational podcasts and stuff, I agree with, and which is great to combat it. So I agree with you on that, Stephen. The other thing is that, and we've talked about this before, just listening to audio books,
Mm-hmm.
self-improvement type books, things that are showing you and talking about how to become a better person, a better parent, a better father, a better leader, a better husband. All that kind of good stuff is great. So there's definitely some things you can do that's a little bit more positive than turning on the news, because they are trying to sell what sells. They're trying to give you what sells.
Absolutely.
We got a few comments here, so we'll jump into those comments really quick. Our cousin will tell you the whole family is on today. They love it. So Keith says, negativity is related to the human behavior towards pain. Pain creates one of the most intense chemical reactions on the brain that body reacts to. That is why entertainment gravitates towards it, because of how it stimulates our minds. The best way to combat negativity is to immediately follow it with a positive counter. I tell you, our family, powerful. We got some powerful people.
Smart guys.
Smart guys. Okay. Super Dave is in the house. He says, "What's up, guys? What's going on? What's going on? Good to hear from you." And we see Sean Gutierrez is in the building.
What's up, Sean?
Always great to have Sean on. And Let's see. Cortez says reading nonfiction and history are great escapes based in
Absolutely.
facts. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
love that. Cortez has always been really big on bringing, history and letting and informing and educating. So that's really spot on. And then Keith says, Nikki watch Motiversity every morning. That's a hard word
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
drive in work or in the shower as I start my day.
Yeah, Keith, I highly recommend it, man. It's really positive, very great motivation. I even listen to it while I'm working out from time to time. So
Well,
love
yep.
that. And then Cortez, the other thing I've been doing, Sterling, is listening, watching the History Channel. And
Yeah.
I've never been like a real big history buff, but it's interesting. It has some really interesting stories there. So that's another one that I've turned to instead of going to the news.
Hey, you know what they say? If you don't know your history, you'll more than likely repeat your past mistakes. So that's a really
Absolutely.
good point. And then Super Dave says news equals negativity or negative energy without sustenance.
Yeah.
There
There
you
it is.
go. I
There
like
it
that.
is.
Smart.
Simple.
Good deal. All right, so let's jump back into it. We're rolling. We talked about control your intake. We talked about searching out positive networks. Next one, get involved. That's a pretty easy one. If we want to give back into and pour back positivity into our lives and into others, we want to help others and do positive things. So Steve and I are big on this. We make sure our entire company and all our employees, we do community outreach projects, and it's pretty amazing how
Yeah.
much it makes a difference and how it brings people together, and they really do appreciate those type of things. And not enough companies, not enough people do that. We need to give back more, just in general in life.
And I think, and that's a great point, Sterling. And I'll chime in by saying, when you get involved and you give back more, you tend to see really the good in people, right? So when you're
Mhm.
out there and you're involved in all these different volunteer organizations and mentor groups and things of that nature, it is empowering and positive because you're like, okay, now I see the real people. I see the people that have passion and concern and compassion for life and people, and so it just really helps you to have balances, which is what I think duality is one of the things we're going to talk about.
Balance is the key. Got to balance it out, and that was a perfect segue into the next one, which is understanding duality. And duality basically means that there's always going to be good and bad in the world. There's not going to be ever a situation where there's all good and no bad, and there's not going to be a situation where there's all bad and no good. So we have to just understand that. So that we don't get too down on the fact that the sky is falling and everything is going, going to hell in a handbag, whatever they say. There's always positive and there's always a silver lining. Even with the pandemic, there was a lot of people that actually it was a life changer for them. It allowed
Exactly.
them to get out of a life of unhappiness, doing something that they were just doing just to pay the bills, and force them to kind of step out on faith and go after their dreams. So there's a lot of positivity that can be taken out of any situation. So
Absolutely.
good deal. And then the next one, Stephen.
Then talk about your feelings. I mean, obviously, what we're doing now, you're not by yourself. Everyone goes through a sense of depression. I mean, right now, mental health is such a highlight of what people are dealing with and going through. And there's so many different groups and organizations and ways to have discussions about how you're feeling. But just know that you're not out there by yourself. Everyone is kind of dealing with the news and just life that's happening right now. And it seems to be running at us, 100 miles an hour. And just every day there's something different. But, have take an opportunity to talk about it. That's the only way to kind of express yourself and release and just get a little bit of peace in your life. What do you think, so?
It's all about peace. And I'll bring in a couple of comments here because Cortez kind of talks about feelings and understanding duality, all that kind of good stuff. So this is a great comment. He says, and as much time and as much as these times feel difficult, they do in fact pale in comparison. These are first world problems. That's absolutely true.
That's right. They
We're
are.
sitting back worried about why our house has increased in value by 21% in the last year. It's
Right.
actually a good thing in a lot of situations. Now, if you own, now, if you don't own and you're trying to buy, that's a whole another story.
Yeah.
But good point there. And then Sean says, I've been a volunteer on board of directors for the fair. It's a labor of love with like-minded people. It keeps you positive.
It absolutely does.
Man, giving back, that's what it's all about. And of course the fairs, the state and county fairs here in Texas are huge. So
Yeah,
that's really cool. That's
absolutely.
really cool. And then the last one comment says, as a firefighter, I see the worst moments in people's lives and I try to help them on all levels. I treat them like family and teach my crew to do the same. We appreciate you, Sean. We appreciate what you
Yeah,
do
I
every
mean,
day.
if there were more people that think like Sean, I mean, it's really what we do every day. Every single one of us has an opportunity to do something positive in someone's lives, especially if they're going through something difficult. And
Hmm.
whenever you're able to impact someone positively and make a difference in their lives, it makes you feel better about yourself. It's always a reciprocal type of feeling that happens when you do good out. When you put good out, you always will get good back. So I think we all need to be more like Sean. Sean, keep doing the good work in the community, my brother.
There you go. So instead of that similar, I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Sean.
Sean.
Okay. Last two, practice relaxation. So, so David and I have probably talked about this, I'm sure, before in the past, but meditation is really, really good. Just really trying to unplug. We were talking about that at the beginning of the podcast. If you feel like you have all this weight on top of you, it's probably time for a break. It's probably
Yeah,
time to walk away for a little bit. We don't realize what we deal with every single day in and day out over time, how it compounds. And Steve and I talk about this all the time. And you know, kind we've been working 60 to 80 hours a week for I don't know a long time. You know, and running a bunch of different businesses and having a lot of responsibility, and that adds on stress, and you have your families and all that kind of good stuff. And then on top of that, you hear all this negativity about what's happening in the world and what's not going to happen. It compounds, and so sometimes you just need a break and you need to relax and you need to get away. So work-life balance, mental. A big topic has been mental health. So
yeah,
relax and meditate and get away. What do you think, Steve?
yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree.
And then the last one, you gotta laugh.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that my shout out to my guy Derek Perkins DJ. So before the pandemic, man, he used to be a regular at the comedy club.
That's
That was
right.
his thing, was to go to the comedy club, and obviously we're starting to get back to regular. But man, it's just nothing like being able to laugh until you cry. Just those same kind of chemicals and endorphins that come out that Keith was talking about when you go through pain. Those same kind of endorphins and chemicals and emotions happen when you laugh, and so it's just great to just laugh. And I mean, and even just to surround yourself by people that have a good time in life and they don't take anything too seriously. They laugh a lot, laugh even at the bad times and the good times. It's just a way to release and let go. So
Yeah, we gotta learn to not take life so seriously. You gotta laugh. You gotta relax. You gotta just enjoy life. Life is short. You know what I mean? I remember talking to a couple of friends. I remember talking to Jeff Weber, another one of our good friends, and we were talking about how many summers we have left. As you
mhm,
get a little bit older in life, and you start looking at that, and man, it's a reality. And so we have to really just start thinking about how do you want to spend your life, and don't take it for granted, because Kevin Samuels, who is, you know love him or hate him, he was a catalyst. He was someone that was forward thinking, in his whatever thought process was. Had over 14 million followers. He was one of our fraternity brothers, and actually went to school right down the street from us, at University of Oklahoma, where we went to Langston University. And he died at 57, and That's not old, for the young people out there, it's not old.
Yeah.
But we have to really realize that what we do in life and how we move in life and how hard we work and the negativity that we take, all that, it puts stress on our hearts, it puts stress on our mental state. So, gotta take it, you gotta have fun, you gotta laugh often, you have to take breaks, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, man. Sterl, with you and I, man, we're in the fourth quarter at the top of the key. I'm still trying to get these 3-pointers though. They're not gonna take me out the game yet.
That's right.
I'm still first. I'm still starting. I'm still first string, bro. I'm on the
Exactly.
top five. Still playing my game. Yeah, I'm gonna run it all the way to the buzzer and a little overtime. We can do this, man. We can do this.
That's it. We got one more here. So Cortez, he's bringing it home. This forum is a much needed break from our crazy days. Thank you for giving us a reason to pause, introspect, breathe, laugh, and re-engage. Those Carter boys, that's what we do. We come from a long line of strong leaders and influencers and all that kind of good stuff. So we just got to keep pushing.
Absolutely, man.
Any final words for us? You want to take us home with anything?
No, just of course, we always like for you guys to share, and we're Sterling and I are always just trying to share some positive thoughts, to share from time to time something comedy related, something serious, something business related, just anything about life that we can share and have discussion for. And as Sterling and I mentioned before, we learn from these conversations as well. And we just hopefully, if they're making an impact on you, please share, please like, and continue to watch.
Peace.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stephen, for that closing comments, and we'll see you guys hopefully next week. We're gonna try to get back on our regular schedule. We're gonna hit this outro.